Internet of Things Conference hier in Berlin. Ich freue mich sehr, dass Jewell Sparks Zeit gefunden hat, um ein wenig mit uns zu sprechen. Sie hat gerade hier eine Keynote gehalten, Intersection of Technology and Fashion. Ich werde jetzt auf Englisch switchen, um mich ein wenig mit ihr zu unterhalten. Jewell, you're founder and CEO of Strategic Diversity Group.
Yes.
Give us a little introduction to the topic of technology and fashion and wearables, please.
So today I talked about the intersection of technology and fashion, because in today's time, it's not just okay to create a wearable technology solution that doesn't look good. People really like to buy and purchase products that are visually appealing to them. So today we talked about the market, how big it is, how by, I think it's 2020, there's going to be like 25 billion devices that are going to be out there on the market, and just the importance and how big the market is.
What are the important factors, do you think, that are important for an IoT gadget to become something, maybe something like a status symbol?
You know, it's really interesting that you said that, because when people buy certain types of shoes or a certain outfit, I mean, people do sometimes judge people based upon their external appearance. And if you do look at the wearables or the IoT devices that are on the market, they are pretty hefty in price. So you definitely have to have financial resources, I think, also to purchase these products. And that's also an interesting issue, because not everybody can afford them, but some people need them. For example, if someone has like a health ailment and they need to monitor their blood pressure or, you know, fitness or something like that, if the products cost too much, I mean, then that also inhibits people, the products to enter like the mainstream markets.
Okay. Status symbol or status symbols are, of course, often connected or are always connected to brands. And you also talked about brands, and you told people you have to know who you are. It's a simple question, but maybe there's a difficult answer in that. Why are brands so important then?
Because people buy products that they trust and that they know. So if you have a product and people hear the name, or if you, even if your name is not big, but if you can align like with a big fashion brand or with an Intel or some other company like that, then all of a sudden your brand value goes up, because people recognize and they trust those brands. And so we're here in Germany, so you know how important trust is, and so that's why brand recognition is really important.
How would you grade the relationship between appearance and function in a wearable? Do you think one thing is more important, or is it just equal?
When these products first entered the market, people were just focused on function. But I mean, if you look at like the big Oculus Rift and things like that, I mean, not everybody's going to purchase those. And so over time, they've realized the importance of incorporating and working with designers earlier in the game. So people want to buy these products, because now there's so many products that are on the market that maybe monitor your sleep or monitor your fitness, that you want to make sure you have something that stands out. And so the things that stand out is what people are attracted to visually.
You also talked about strategic partnerships in your talk. Of course, strategic partnerships are important, but what's the one thing that you would say, the reason why people cannot do it on their own? Why are strategic partnerships so important?
I think they can do it on their own, but in this time of the internet and technology, everything moves so fast. And I think if everyone wasn't so interconnected, then it would be okay for you just to continue working on your product. And if it takes 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that's fine. But if you want to be a market leader and if you want to win, it's very important potentially maybe to identify strategic partners that may be a little bit more innovative or move a little bit faster than you do, so you can get that brand recognition, and then also at the same time achieve that product adoption that's needed. Because when you're putting a product on the market, a lot of people ignore how much time it takes in order for consumers to recognize what your product is, to use it, you know, become engaged with it, and then to share that information with other people. And that's really important, because at the end of the day, you create a product so you can generate sales, so you can be profitable. If you only are focused on the technology portion and like making sure you come up with the best product, and then there's a competitor that makes it to the market before you, you've already cut out a big chunk of like your, you've kind of like minimized some of the variables that are important for you to be successful.
Okay. How long do you think until we see a real breakthrough product in the wearable industry? I mean, there are success stories, of course, but do you think this is again going to be in the sector, in the fitness or health sector, or is it going to be something completely different? Maybe clothing, smart clothing. You also talked about this.
Yeah, so smart clothing is happening right now. So Google has that Project Jacquard, and so basically they are incorporating different types of strands, in the textiles, and so it's already like conductive strands that are in the fabric. And so in the future, if you're a designer and you're manufacturing, or if you're manufacturing clothing, it already will have like certain threads that you can connect up in your wearables, because by, I think they said 2017 or something like that, like 30% of all your wearables are going to blend into what you normally wear. You don't have to have like all this extra stuff.
Okay, blending in meaning you don't really see it anymore.
Yeah, you're not going to see it. It's going to be obtrusive to the eye.
Okay. Just from your experience, maybe you can introduce our viewers to some of your favorite wearable products that you think could be a potential success story in the future. You mentioned some nice, ranging from accessories to really complete clothing sets. Mm-hmm. Do you have some examples for us?
I really like actually the collaboration that's happening right now with the designer Tory Burch and Fitbit. Mm-hmm. I went into actually the store in Munich a couple of weeks ago, and it's really nice because you can take the normal Fitbit Flex. There's a little device, and then Tory Burch designed like a pendant on the outside, and then also she's got bracelets to where you just pop out the little the device that monitors like your fitness, and you can put it into really nice pieces of jewelry. So I really like that product. Mm-hmm. Another brand actually that I really like, because there was a trendsetter, and it's called the company Cute Circuit. They were the first ones like to put LED lights into the clothing, and so what they did is they also formed partnerships with like Katy Perry and a lot of designers like that. And so because of that, they also all of a sudden have like amazing brand recognition, and like anytime someone wants to talk about like sewing LEDs in your clothing and things like that, they actually get called. So, and they were a small company that now like has a global brand recognition just because they had certain partnerships and collaborations in place.
Those success stories or those companies, what they did well was understanding their customer. Can you elaborate a little bit on this process, on the approach of defining who your customer is, and of course why that is so important?
Yeah, the only way you can really find out who your customer is let's say you come up with an idea and you want to bring a product to market. Like earlier you asked me, are there going to be any, great products that are coming to market that do things other than monitor, your sleep or your different activity? In order to see if a product like that would be successful, the best way is to use like your different social media channels and things like that, and ask people, what if you're a company, like what products, what's missing on the market that you wish was on the market? And then because in today's time with the social media and things like that, you can actually co-create with potential customers and engineers and even companies, because they can help you bring products to market that are better and that actually will sell more. In the past, when technology wasn't so vibrant and everyone wasn't so connected, I remember when I used to work for Procter & Gamble, I mean, they would spend years and years like on research and development, and then they would work on the product, and when they put the product to market, if it didn't work, it didn't work. But they had all this money that they were putting into the product. But imagine now if you can save money because you actually know what customers want. And that's the benefit of making sure you understand your customers. And also, if you want to bring a product to market and you have a prototype, you build a prototype with all these different bells and whistles, you can also do like different crowdfunding campaigns and ask your friends and family, and also potential investors now use those platforms as well to try to identify products that they want to potentially invest in too.
As a final question, maybe, Jewell, the concept of IoT and how many devices will be connected in the future. Do you think, you talk to a lot of people, you bring a lot of people in the IoT industry together, what's your impression, have people really grasped the concept of IoT, especially in companies?
Well, a lot of companies are spending a lot of their budgets to basically get into this space because the potential is great, like all the way to like the, you know, from the retailers to like manufacturers, like everybody in the value chain, basically their business is going to be expanding. So you have companies like Cisco, Intel, SAP, all these companies that are basically entering this field and Bosch and creating, whether it's connected home products, whether it's connected car products, everybody's like connected. And actually by 2020, there's going to be about 25 billion devices. That's like 2.5 devices per person by 2020 that people will somehow be connected or have. And so the market potential is really great. But what the problem is that this is so new and everything's moving so fast that I think it's very difficult for people to figure out how to fit it all together. And the only way that that's going to happen is like people are going to have to work in cross-functional teams, as well as take it upon themselves. If they're an engineer, like maybe learn a little bit about design, or if you're a designer, learn a little bit about engineering. But most importantly, if you think about a company when it's formed, there's time that is spent on creating and developing your product, but for the majority of the life cycle of the product, once the product is there, you have to sell the product. And so what's interesting is a lot of companies early on, they're not also looking at the value proposition of making sure they have business development people in place, making sure they utilize their social media channels during the process. And all of those things are very important because there's a lot of competition out there on the market too.
Yeah, so a more holistic approach.
Yes.
Is
it's very important in today's time.
I have one more question. I talked to somebody today, and she made the prognosis that in something like maybe 5 to 10 years, the close connection of mobile and wearable devices and the Internet of Things will have dissolved. That there will be something else, something that is less dependent on mobile and wearables.
Yeah, that's happening now.
Yeah,
that's happening now.
You think it's already happening? Can you give us examples?
It is happening. There's some products that are out there, like if you use like just Bluetooth, low energy Bluetooth, where you can control like a, you know, like answering your phone or something like that without your mobile device. And there's that mica bracelet, which I talked about today. So that bracelet has its own SMS card. I think when you buy the product, already they formed a 2-year relationship with AT&T. So AT&T, the people already, I mean, sure, you have to have a different number, and no, you can't answer the phone or make calls, but what you can do is see what SMS messages are coming across and things like that. So, and that's totally independent of the mobile phone.
Okay. Thanks for your insights, Jewell.
You're welcome.
And have a great conference.
Thank you very much.